The sport of Formula One, well, I say the show of Formula One doesn't like me using the footage of these cars racing one another because it claims copyright. It owns that video of them cars racing each other and it doesn't allow me to use it. But what it does, it contracts Sky Sports to use it to lie to you, to misinform you. That's damaging. But you get people like Karen here. Karen Chandok will happily lie to you and happily condition the minds of your children with falsehoods. Now, if that kind of thing took place in a mosque, for example, they would describe that as radicalizing the minds of children. You know, if you sent your children to a religious establishment and they informed your children that the Western world actually starts wars out there in the East, we call it, to rape resources from them lands for its own benefit. If you told people that, that would be indoctrinating them. Oh, that would equate to terrorism, wasn't it? Yeah, because that doesn't comply with the Western narrative. Yeah. But don't you worry your little heads about that. What we get instead is Karen here telling us that nowhere does it state that the car on the inside has to remain on the track when somebody's trying to overtake it. Really, Karen? This is the damaging mental abuse of people that these bastards do to people. This is Formula One. This is Sky Sports F1. So let's have a look. This is your copyrighted material, you fuckers at Formula One. But I'm using it under fair use to expose you for the corrupt cunts that you are. So let's have a look.
Here we go, down into turn 12. So let's remind us of what happened. Verstappen was on the inside. Norris.
Verstappen was on the inside. Verstappen was in the lead and Norris overtook him. When you're trying to do an overtake around the outside at the braking zone, then you've got to be alongside them or ahead of that. But you've got to be at least alongside. If you're trying to do the overtaking maneuver on the inside, you've got to be at least halfway alongside at the braking zone for the corner. They don't tell you that. They've bullshitted it about this being race to the apex. Let's just go back here. We're looking at these DHL marker boards. What they usually represent is 150 meters, 100 meters, and 50 meters out from the corner. When you're coming down a long straight, the braking zone is usually quite a way out after you're decelerating from high speed. If it's just a shorter straight, they're not reach such a higher top speed, so therefore they brake later into the corner. But let's have a look again.
Here we go, down into turn 12. So let's remind us of what happened. Verstappen was on the inside.
So this one here, 150, 100, 50. Who's ahead? Lando Norris was behind. Oh, he's actually ahead, isn't he? He's ahead, trying to do an overtake on the outside. What does Max do?
Inside, Norris on the outside, trying to make the move.
Well, from being ahead, Max has now caught up with him. So who's travelling faster? Oh, that would be Max Verstappen travelling faster. Who's on the inside line? Oh, Max Verstappen. If you're taking the inside line to a corner, that makes it a tighter corner. As we heard Brundle say at the British Grand Prix, oh, effectively it's like making it a different corner. You see, when you're on the outside, you can take a sweep. Okay, you can carry more speed around that kind of curve. When you're on the inside line, oh, it's a tighter curve when you're on the inside line. So in order to take a tighter curve, you have to be going slower to remain in control and on the track, don't you? Yeah, that's the way that these things work. Why is Max going faster? Oh, if you go too fast, then you won't retain control of your car and you won't be able to stay on the track. So you are driving dangerously. That's the way it works.
Around the outside, as they got into the
As they get into the apex, everybody. Kids, it's about the apex. It's about the apex. It's about the apex. It's nothing to do with the fucking apex. Right? If you've gone there and you're there too fast, oh, I just stayed on the throttle and I was travelling at 200 miles an hour at the apex to win the race to the apex. Doesn't matter, dickhead, you're not going to make it around the corner at that speed. That's driving dangerously. Nothing to do with the race to the apex. It's about the braking zone, the point in which time you decelerate your car to take an appropriate speed for the appropriate line around that corner. And it's at that point in time where you assess what line you're allowed to take based on the location of your car relative to that of your opponent. If they've earned the right for space around that corner, you've got to brake appropriately to leave them that space. If they've not, you can pick your own line, taking the appropriate speed, applying the appropriate braking force for that corner. That's the way it works. That's the way it's worked for decades. But you get bastards now, like Karun Chandok, taking money to lie to your fucking kids. And Formula One and their lawyers, yeah, they fucking shell the money because it makes them money. They contract bastards like Karun Chandok to lie to your fucking kids. Cunts of human beings. Fucking cunts of human beings. All of them.
Apex. Crucially, there, at this point, as we can see, Verstappen is clearly in front. Now let's go on.
Crucially, Verstappen is clearly in front. Oh, but is he too fast now?
Board and just have a look. This is a new angle. We didn't get to see Verstappen's onboard last week.
We didn't get to see Verstappen's forward-facing camera because they always fucking disappear, don't they? Oh, that's strange. That's a coincidence.
This is a fresh angle we've got for this weekend. As they head down into the braking zone, look.
So, Norris on the outside.
Norris moves to the right. He's on the outside.
Level. You can wait. Norris is slightly ahead now. Slightly ahead now. Let's play this through at a slow speed, okay? Because then we can see exactly where Norris is. If we go to this speed here.
Now.
See there? Lando Norris's car. You can see from Max Verstappen's view. There's Lando Norris's car. Fully ahead. Yeah? Fully ahead. And where are these braking zones? Let's just come out of here. And let's just do this. There's the 100. There's the 50. Now, I don't know which sound we're hearing here. If we can hear the engine note. Oh, there they are. They're decelerating, aren't they? They're decelerating. So Verstappen, having been overtaken, the car on his outside has overtaken him. And Verstappen's got to take a tight line around this corner because he's taken the inside line, meaning he's got to slow down more to make it around there. What does Verstappen do?
Is clearly at this stage Norris got his nose in front.
Norris has got his nose in front. That's a big nose, Karen. It's a big fucking nose.
But he's not right. Now Verstappen is clearly at this stage. Norris has got his nose in front, but he's not fully in front of us.
Yeah, because you just paused it. A fraction of a second too late. He was fully in front, Karun. Lying to the kids.
Verstappen. I think at this stage, Verstappen comes off the brake pressure a bit.
Yeah, he's come off the... I think he's come off the brakes. Well done you, Karen. And what does that mean? He's travelling too fast. He's carrying too much speed into the corner. That's what that means.
Make sure he's racing, basically.
Make sure, because...
do that apex. He's trying to make sure he gets to that apex first. And the reason he's trying to do that is because he is...
Because he's a cunt. That's why. He's driving out of control. He's dangerous. And he doesn't get penalised for it. It's Max Verstappen rules, everybody. But we've got the overtaking guidelines, which were never published. Never published. The overtaking guidelines. These aren't what are in the FIA International Sporting Code under the relevant appendix. Okay? They're not there. They're not there. They're not there. Which means it's bullshit that's been made up for this show. That's what it is. Karen, you lying fuck.
Acutely aware of the guidelines that the stewards use. Now, these guidelines have been created by the stewards.
Max is acutely aware of the guidelines. Max is the expert of knowing the Max Verstappen rules.
Stewards and the race directors and the FIA, basically, in consultation with the GPDA and the drivers. And it says...
We embellish that. Oh, because let's just see who's made it. Who's made the rules up, Karen? In consultation with
guidelines that the stewards use. Now, these guidelines have been created by the stewards and the race directors.
the stewards make the guidelines, do they? No. The governing body, okay, sets the rules and regulations for how sport is conducted, not the stewards. You see, the stewards essentially are making referee decisions in an event. So, in the laws, the rules of football, is it the referee that makes them up, or is the referee just the official applying them? Yeah? The referee doesn't consult the players and make the rules for the football game, do they? No, the referee's just there applying the rules that everybody understands across all forms of football that are played. 11-a-side football is played to these rules. Oh, but in Premier League football, the referees get together with the players and make up their own guidelines for how they're going to do it. Is that right, Karen, you fucking lying fuck? No, it's not how it goes on, is it, Karen? But you're lying to the crowd. You're lying to the people. Because nowhere does it state the car on the inside has to remain within track limits. What the fuck are you talking about, Karen, you lying fuck?
FIA basically in consultation with the GPDA and the drivers, and it says quite clearly,
in consultation with the GPDA, what's the Grand Prix Drivers Association and the drivers? Oh, in consultation with the drivers and the drivers. Thanks for that, Karen.
That if the driver is overtaking around the outside, they need to have their front axle at least alongside the other car. So in this case, Norris needs to be
in these bullshit rules that you're giving us there, okay, have to have their axle at least alongside. Yeah, but if those locations, if that's your measure, that snapshot, that freeze frame at the apex, who determines the apex? Is it an early apex, a late apex? Who determines the exact location? And are we taking a still photograph at that location to then determine who's entitled to what track room at that exact moment? Oh, we need to go back and look at these photographs after they've been developed to work out who was in the right and who was in the wrong, don't we, Karen? No, that's not how it works, dickhead. No, you just assess at the braking zone to see who's entitled to be left room around the corner, and therefore what braking force you've got to apply to slow your car to the applicable speed to make it around that corner, remaining on track, affording the other car track room if there is a requirement to do so. At the apex, that's too late. At the apex, if you're going too fast, you're not going to stay on the track. That's a breach of regulations. That's driving out of control. That's driving dangerously. That gets you a penalty. But Karen's going to tell you.
Fully alongside Verstappen, he wasn't, and therefore that wasn't applied.
Yeah, Norris wasn't alongside, and therefore we validated Max. Some people take the money to suck dick. This is a man who takes money to suck dick. Make your own life choices, boys and girls. Some of you will be happy to take money to suck dick. Okay? Karen here is happy to take money to suck dick.
Nowhere does it say, because again, if I read that line, it says that the overtaking car must stay within track limits. Nowhere does.
So Lando is, it says in the guidelines that Lando has to stay within track limits. You see, that's what the sporting regulations say to all of them. All of them have got to stay within track limits. But Karen will tell you that nowhere does it say.
Does it say that the car being overtaken, in this case Verstappen, must stay within track limits?
Karen tells you that Max doesn't have to stay within track limits. What kind of fuckery is that? Formula One. You're contracting Sky Sports, this cunt Chandok, right, to tell kids that nowhere does it say that Max has to stay on track when somebody's trying to overtake Max. You try and overtake Max, and Max hasn't got to stay on track, everybody. Yay! This is Formula One, the fucking mind-conditioning formula, sucking off Max Verstappen. Say anything you need to say to fucking boost Max Verstappen. Absolute bullshit. Dangerous mind-conditioning narrative. Fraudulent fucks.
So I think that is something that the drivers, in this case Verstappen, must stay within track. because again, if I read that line, it says that the overtaking car must stay within track limits. Nowhere does it say that the car being overtaken, in this case Verstappen, must stay within track limits. So I think that is something.
Yeah, that's a bit of a problem, isn't it, Karen? Nowhere does it say the car being overtaken has to remain on the track. Unbelievable. And that is allowed to be broadcast on media. That is allowed to be put out there as information out there from a supposed authentic form of media. Fucking damaging. Fucking damaging. But that's the kind of cunt that this man Chandok is. A cunt of a human being.
That the drivers would like reviewed. Now this is
contracted by a cunt organisation that is Formula One management. Oh, lawyers. Fucking lawyers. Oh, what's the legalities of that, cunt boys?
different to if an overtaking move is done on the inside, where it quite clearly.
Oh, it's different to when an overtaking manoeuvre is done on the inside. You see, no. What on the lead up to that corner, who was the lead car? That was Max Verstappen, right? He was in the lead, being overtaken by Lando, and Lando performed that. It wasn't that going along that straight leading up to that corner, Max was in second, attempting to make the overtaking manoeuvre. No, he wasn't. Okay, Max was just trying to retain that first place that he was in prior to being overtaken. But now we've got the overtaking of the inside at the corner guidelines, the mystery guidelines that don't exist, that they created to validate Max Verstappen and suck Max's dick. Have its front axle at least alongside of the mirror of the car by no later than nothing to do with the apex. Apex is too late. If you're travelling too fast at the apex, you won't remain on the track. That is not the point in time where you judge this. Be driven in a safe and controlled manner throughout the manoeuvre. Entry, apex, there you go. Safe and controlled manner. So if you're travelling too fast, it doesn't matter where you are at the apex, because if you got there and you're travelling too fast and it means you can't make it around the corner and remain on track, you're going too fast. You're not in a controlled manner. Oh, but it doesn't say he has to remain on the track. Oh, there's a problem with the bullshit, isn't there? There's a problem with the bullshit. Nowhere can any of these fucking cunt boys that are paid to lie to you identify the truth. That's a problem, isn't it, Karen? Formula One doesn't see that as being a problem. It's just happy to mind condition your kids. Get your kids excited. The likes of Billy Monger that have had life-changing injuries due to incidents in motor racing. I don't think they'd be that satisfied if they came up against competitors who were conditioned by the likes of Karun Chandok, telling them acceptable ways of motor racing. Nowhere does it say that if somebody tries to overtake you, you have to remain on the track, so you can just fuck your car at them and crash into the cunts. Nowhere does it say in these guidelines of Formula One that that's not acceptable. So you just go ahead and do that. And if you fuck somebody up in the process, nowhere does it say in the guidelines that it's not acceptable. That's what cunts like Karun Chandok will ultimately produce. Damaging bastards. Damaging bastards. Without deliberately forcing the other... because we use the word deliberately, do we? Do we use the word deliberately in guidelines? Who's the one that deliberately does it? Or is that when you come off the brakes to race somebody to the apex knowing that you're not going to make it around the corner? Is that a deliberate action? Oh yeah, that's a deliberate action, isn't it? Forcing the other car off the track at the exit. This includes leaving a fair and acceptable width for the car being overtaken from the apex to the exit of the corner, and be able to make the corner within track limits. Funny that, isn't it? What's Karen got to say about it?
He says that the car overtaking on the inside cannot force the other car off track, and this is what caught George Russell out. So I think this.
Oh, so this doesn't apply to Max, but this is where this bit applies to somebody else. This is where George Russell was at fault. Max wasn't at fault. But this is where George Russell was at fault.
This is where the scenarios are different. A lot of people have been
this is different, everybody. This is different.
Looking at what happened to Russell and why he got penalised. But in his case, if we look at it, he went.
So Russell is the car that's jumped out and is travelling faster up the inside there. Okay, he was already behind, wasn't he?
Went down the inside of the corner.
Who won the race to the apex? Where is the apex? Now what?
Against Valtteri Bottas, and at this stage, as he comes out,
oh, there's no room on that track for the car on his outside. This is where George Russell has done it wrong.
It's quite clear Bottas doesn't have racing room. He's forced off the track, and that's why the stewards gave George Russell a penalty there. So these aren't regulations, these are guidelines.
They're not regulations, they're guidelines. That is bullshit that you've made up to condition the minds of kids.
But it's very much what is used as we go on board with Bottas, you can see. It's very much what is used by the stewards.
It's used by the stewards. Bollocks, Karun. What it is these stewards that just suck dick. Okay? Go with the Formula 1 narrative to not penalise Max Verstappen.
In order to try and work out what penalties. Now, in Norris's case, one thing that is also in the guidelines is if you go beyond the track limits fully.
In Norris's case. Yeah, let's have a look at Max's case, shall we?
Off track and gain a lasting advantage, which he clearly did by getting.
So he's in the front there.
Getting a position up in front of a.
Shall we rewind it a little bit?
Advantage, which he clearly.
Oh, we didn't go back there because he was fully ahead, wasn't he? If you'd have gone back a little bit, but you're not showing it from there, Karen.
Did by gating a position up in front of Verstappen.
Let's have a look where Verstappen ends up. Remember where Russell was in the wrong because he didn't leave the car on his outside racing ring?
Then you.
Oh, Max is further over there. Oops. No, I've done that.
And probably would have overtaken him, and then I would be interested in getting a position up in front of Verstappen. Then
I want to just try and do this on the slow-mo. Let's have a look what we can do here. Slow-mo. Playback speed. Let's go to a quarter. And let's have a look here.
You would.
That's Max off the track himself. Max is over the white line. But the problem here, kiddies, is Lando is the problem. Not the fact that Max has left him nowhere to go. Oh, Lando's gained a lasting advantage, so we penalise this guy. We don't penalise Max. We penalise George when George didn't leave trap room for the car on his outside. But no, in this instance, this one's completely different, everybody. The Emperor's clothes are the finest clothes. He's wearing nothing, but they're the finest clothes you've ever seen, kiddies, okay? Max is off the track here. Max has carried so much extra speed that he's gone into that corner too hot and can't stay on the track. That's driving dangerous, kiddies. That's the problem, kiddies. But Karen here, the cunt boy, takes money for lying to you and conditioning you otherwise. And Formula 1 contract him to do that. The mind conditioning machine. Damaging cunts. Damaging cunts. Motherfuckers! There's Max off the track there. There's Lando off the track there. Why is Lando off the track? Oh, because this cunt going up the inside of him has gone in so fast that if Lando tried to stay on the track, he'd have been smashed into by a cunt. That's a problem, isn't it? What are we doing to penalise this cunt? Oh, we're not. We're validating him. We're calling this guy the problem. The guy on the outside now becomes the problem. Israel Verstappen here never does anything wrong. He's a victim, is Israel Verstappen.
Will be penalised.
Yeah. Israel Verstappen fucking never does anything wrong. Playback speed. Let's go back to normal. And let's...
Gating a position up in front of Verstappen, then you will be penalised. And there quite clearly, he gained the last advantage by getting front. Now, one thing I would be interested to know is if Norris had stayed behind Verstappen at this stage, and probably would have overtaken him in the next lap or two because he had so much more pace, could McLaren have then argued that he was forced off the track?
Oh, we'll have an argument in the comment section, shall we? If he'd have stayed behind, if I invent a scenario that didn't happen, and can we then bring that into the talking point and talk about that rather than focus on the real infringement here? Rather than focus on the real crux of the problem, let's talk about something else to divert your attention from dealing with the real problem. That's what cunts like this do for money. Media presenters, cunts like Karun Chandok. That's exactly what they are. Don't be scared of using the terms that apply to these individuals. That's what they are, the worst of mankind. And use appropriate language to identify cunts, because that's exactly what they are.
And maybe, forced a penalty there for Verstappen, avoided the penalty for Norris. I still believe a week on.
Maybe if it had done something different, there could have been something different. How about there's rules, there's regulations. How about the people whose job it is to apply those rules and regulations, act with integrity and do their fucking job, rather than just comply with the narrative of the show? How about that, Karen? Quite simple, isn't it? How about what we get put in front of us is people who are authentic and not just validating the gender, not just lying cunts like you, Karen Chandok.
They should have given up that place then and there.
I think they should have given that place up then and there. I was so excited, I was waving my hands in the air, just like Silverstone 2021, Karun, with your bullshit. Just like every time. Max was carrying so much extra speed, it was understeer, 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 and Max drives the other car off the track. Oh, Max has got a track record of driving the other car off the track, isn't it? It's because Max is the expert of the regulations, the guidelines that apply to Max. Do the other cars do that, Karun? Oh, it's just Max is the expert of that, like Brazil 2021, where Max carries so much extra speed into a corner that he can't remain on track, and the other car's got nowhere to go, so leaves the track. Oh, it's the other car's fault, because nowhere does it say that Max has to remain on the track. Max Verstappen rules! And this cunt will present that. How many examples of Max driving another car off the track? Brazil 2021, Saudi 2021. There where he didn't remain on the track himself. Mexico 2024, here in Cota 2024. Driving his car into George Russell this year. How many times has Max left the other car? No track room whatsoever. Oh, endless. Endless.
Everybody, as Verstappen just said, knows you cannot gain in a place by overtaking.
Yeah, Max knows you can't gain a place by overtaking off the track. Max knew that in Bahrain 2021, but he did it, and then cried about it when he got penalised for it. But Lewis didn't force him off there. Lewis left track room. Max was just carrying so much extra speed that he was out of control and couldn't remain within track limits. Okay, he was going too fast and performed an overtake, gained a lasting advantage by going off the track. That's the problem. You can't do that. You can't gain a position by going so fast that it's taking you off the track. And that's what Max Verstappen did. But it wasn't Lando that was carrying so much extra speed that he wouldn't have remained on track. Lando was taking evasive action, otherwise it would have been smashed into. Just like all the other times where Max has done that and the other drivers had to take evasive action, otherwise be smashed into. Oh well, what do you do for money, honey? Suck dick. That's what you do, Karen. Karen sucks dick for money. Sucks Max Verstappen's dick for money. Okay? Like you say, make your life choices, boys and girls. Make your life choices. Don't be a cunt. Thank you for your time.